As we put it earlier on in the night, Morgan, one of a small handful of fighters that anyone during Inoue's reign, anyone believed could potentially beat him.
Yes.
I'm talking about anyone picking a fighter against Inoue anywhere on the internet. There haven't been that many of them. Akhmadaliev was someone who was presumed to be a challenge, and outside of that scary moment in the final.
That dramatic uppercut, knocking the sweat off of Akhmadaliev.
Why should Naoya Inoue get a pass to fight low-level opponents and duck his mandatory, not once, not twice, but 3 times? Inoue is undisputed, pound for pound great, but I've got to say, his resume is pretty shit, to be honest with you. Like, okay, he beat Stephen Fulton, good performance. I mean, I don't know. I think Naoya Inoue is really disappointing. And I think he's very, very disappointing as a champion. He's been ordered now twice to fight MJ. He's paid money to the WBA for a permit to avoid him.
Do you think that fight just won't happen now then?
Obviously. But listen, what I'm telling you now, yeah? So remember this. The WBA said, okay, we'll allow you to fight Goodman, reluctantly. That's the second time you've ducked. But after Goodman, or now this guy's just boxed, you have to fight Akhmadaliev, and we will order the fight immediately.
My biggest issue here, y'all. Gears. What's up with this man's gears, man? He's either stuck in first or second, or he goes in 5th for killer mode.
The dust has finally settled on the Naoya Inoue versus Murodjon Akhmadaliev showdown, and what a spectacle it turned out to be. But before fists flew and the drama unfolded, UFC experts were busy with their final predictions. Each had their own take on how this clash of champions would play out and who they believed would walk away victorious.
The spirits are great. The spirits are great because this is the fight that MJ has been asking for a while. And he's very motivated. He's very positive about it, and we see a big opportunity, and we're going to take a.
Joel Diaz showed plenty of confidence in MJ leading into the fight. He talked about how motivated and positive the champ had been, almost like this was the exact challenge MJ had been waiting for a long time. He pointed out that the team saw a huge opportunity here and was ready to seize it.
I mean, MJ has a lot more tools than Cardenas. He has power, skill, experience. Remember, he's an Olympian. He's an Olympian, and he's been in tougher fights than at a higher.
Diaz stressed that MJ brought more than just power. He believed MJ had the full package with his Olympic background, his skill set, and the kind of experience that came from tough fights on a big stage. That mix, in his view, gave MJ an edge that could not be overlooked. He explained that MJ had more tools than his opponent, power, skill, and experience as an Olympian who had already faced higher-level competition. He also highlighted how different their styles were. While some fighters leaned into the classic Mexican pressure style, MJ relied on movement, footwork, and being hard to pin down. Diaz thought that could frustrate Inoue at times and maybe force him into situations where he wasn't as comfortable. Even with all that confidence, Diaz never spoke as if the outcome was certain. He sounded like a coach who knew the risks but felt his fighter had the right mix of tools to pull it off. He made it clear the camp was locked in and ready for anything.
At a higher level than Ramon Cardenas.
And it just means that they're different styles, right? Ramon is more fajado or more Mexican style. MJ is just more of a
more
boss.
elusive. You know, he has more footwork. He's great. You know, he's great with his footwork, and you know, hopefully, you know.
Adam Catterall and Nick Pete broke down the upcoming super bantamweight clash in Japan and shared what they thought could happen. They focused on MJ's chances against Naoya Inoue, making it clear they saw a big challenge ahead. They predicted MJ might find moments of success early in the fight, testing Inoue with his front foot pressure style, but they weren't ready to call the outcome. Inoue's unpredictability and finishing ability were central to their thoughts.
He's finally stopped running. That's the narrative, isn't it? That's the narrative. He's been running from MJ for the last 2 years. However, it's taken legal proceedings in order to get this fight over the line. MJ and his team have been pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing, and they've had to lobby and kind of force this particular fight.
Get legislation involved, yeah.
Listen, I'm glad it's happening because it's a fight that I think all fight fans have wanted to see, even though maybe the fight fans out in Japan would prefer the Nakatani fight.
But would they? We have this conversation all the time. We need to get some Japanese people on our Patreon to get involved in this conversation because we're constantly banging the drum. Inoue Nakatani is the biggest fight on the plethora for Inoue. What's the biggest test out there? The biggest test for Terence Crawford? Bloody Canelo, yeah, okay, let's see if he can do it. Biggest test for Usyk? Well, you line them all up, he knocked them all down, done, completed it. Biggest test for Inoue is Nakatani. We're banging it. I can only imagine in Japan, they're like, nah man, we're good.
They noted the narrative that Inoue had been running from MJ for 2 years, and that it even took legal action to make the fight happen. MJ and his team had pushed relentlessly to secure it. They also observed that while Japanese fans might have preferred a Nakatani matchup, this fight was the real test. They compared Inoue's biggest challenge to how Terence Crawford's biggest test might be someone like Canelo, lining up all comers and knocking them down.
The guy that dropped him is the training partner of Akhmadaliev. So therefore, this corner have already had a good look at Inoue. They've come up with a game plan once before. MJ is a much better fighter than Kasana, who fought him a little earlier on this year. Don't get me wrong. Inoue's got off the deck twice and battered both of those guys and stopped them.
That's the problem you've got.
Okay. Can Akhmadaliev and his style sustain for longer periods of time in the fight what Luis Nira did early, what Quesada did early? Can he do that? And if he can he cause an upset in Japan?
Well, this is the problem. The problem is when you drop Inoue, when you land the shot and you catch Inoue, shifting stances, whatever it is, going from orthodox to southpaw, you catch him square on for a second, which is what Neri did. When you rattle the cage of the monster, when you hurt him, you're then looking at a world of pain because you've got two options now. The first is pounce. I've hurt him. I'm going to pounce. That's what he's waiting for. He wants you to pounce. He wants you to...
Adam and Nick highlighted how Inoue had faced plenty of top fighters before and always found a way to recover when caught clean. They explained that MJ could cause problems and even drop him, but Inoue's experience and power meant he always had a plan. Fighting him was like solving a puzzle where every move had consequences and timing was everything. They pointed out that MJ's style, sharp bodywork, knockout power, and relentless pressure could trouble Inoue. There were glimpses of vulnerability in Inoue, like how he had been dropped before, which could give MJ an opening if executed well. But they warned MJ had to be careful not to overcommit.
Making a case for Akhmadaliev this weekend. One, he's used to fighting on the road. He's used to going in people's back gardens.
Okay,
right?
Good start.
The company that he's keeping in the gym, he's knocking about the likes of the Bivols and the Zalievs of this world out in America. That's the iron sharpens iron type of argument.
Lovely.
His stoppage and knockout ratio is very, very good for this division. And I also think the style that he is of a fighter could genuinely cause some serious problems for Naoya Inoue. He's a front foot pressure fighter, brilliant work to the body. And he's got, as I've just pointed out, with the knockout ratio that he's got heavy hands.
Yeah.
There have been little glimpses in the armour of Naoya Inoue that there's gaps there.
Absolutely.
He fought Luis Neri.
Got dropped.
Gets dropped in the first round. Last time out, last minute opponent comes in, drops him in the second round, has him all over the place.
They made a strong case for Akhmadaliev, noting he was used to fighting on the road and training with elite fighters like Dmitry Bivol. His impressive stoppage ratio made him dangerous. They reminded fans that Inoue had been dropped by Luis Neri and a last-minute opponent in recent fights. Still, they stressed Inoue's patience and strategy. If you rush or get greedy, he punishes mistakes. Even if MJ landed big shots, Inoue's chin and ring IQ meant he could recover and turn the tide. They called Inoue a predator who stalked his prey, urging MJ to attack smartly. Throw, but don't get greedy. Land and back off, because Inoue wants you to overcommit.
Tyson Fury's chin's unbelievable.
And Inoue's got an unbelievable chin.
Yep, I agree.
He gets up and he's there. And the problem is, you've got now, again, two options. Go now. He's ready. He's hit. I'm going to go. As soon as you start going, he's going to hit you twice as hard right down the pipe. And chances are you ain't getting back up. Your other option is to go, okay, I've won this round now. It's probably a 10-8 round. I'll go backwards. That's the other thing he wants you to do. He wants you to go backwards because he's a predator. He spent his entire career stalking prey. The way to beat him is to go forward, but don't get too greedy. Throw, but don't get too greedy. Land, don't get too greedy. Back off, because Inoue wants you to swing. That's what his whole yeah, man, I can afford to step across square on and give you a flash moment. And if you're lucky enough, you could throw something, drop me. Or you could throw something, miss. And by the way, here comes a corkscrew uppercut and you're fucking in rose head. That's why he's so good. That's why he's one of the best fighters we've ever seen in these smaller weight divisions. Why he's arguably...
Adam and Nick said MJ could become a huge star if he pulled off the upset, possibly even a pound-for-pound king. They discussed how beating Inoue could lead to massive opportunities, maybe even in Europe or the Middle East, but they hinted that a rematch would also be lucrative. They reflected that MJ needed composure and discipline to handle Inoue's pressure. Even if the fight went to the scorecards, they believed MJ's power and timing could always create a knockout moment.
Maybe throw, yeah, go on. You're having a good go, aren't you? You're having a good success there, pal. Yeah, you're drunk on success now. Fucking get that stitched. Game over.
How big of a star could MJ become, though, if he knocks him out?
Absolutely huge. Is he still with Eddie? Is he still with Matchroom? He was with the Matchroom for a spell.
I think he's connected in some way.
Yeah, because you beat Inoue, you don't rematch Inoue. You run for the hills and you claim that pound for pound status, and you come back to.
Yeah, but financially that could be massive for a rematch with him.
Well, it could be, but also you slayed the monster. Nobody else has come close to slaying the monster. People have hurt him to their own detriment. But I think MJ could come back to this side of the pond, come back to Europe, come back to the Middle East, even Saudi, make him a...
Sean Porter compared Inoue to Manny Pacquiao, not for moving through weight classes, but for his ability to captivate fans with speed and power. Porter said Inoue could become the next foreign fighter to win over American audiences, highlighting his explosiveness and charisma.
I thought that between Isaac Cruz and Inoue, we might have the next fighter, foreign fighter for the sake of words, who could translate to the American audience. I do believe that is Inoue. I think Inoue is the next Manny Pacquiao. Not at that going all the way up the weight class and all that stuff, but someone who's extremely explosive, eye-catching, and also inviting to who he is as a fighter and as a person. Yeah. It could be him, so I'm looking forward to it.
Manny Pacquiao himself shared his perspective, saying he was proud of Inoue and saw similarities to his own early career at 115 and 122 pounds. He praised Inoue's explosiveness and versatility, and even offered to give advice if Inoue wanted to chase multiple divisions, though he reminded everyone how difficult that journey can be.
Inoue, I'm proud of him. He's from Japan, in Asia, in our place. So his style is like when I was young, like 15, like when I was 115, 122, 115. Inoue is he can fight in different division. If you want my advice how to do, what to do, I can give him advice.
You can get him to 8 divisions.
I don't know. 8 division is hard to accomplish with it.
Everyone had a different vision of how the fight might unfold, from explosive starts to long tactical battles. These were the predictions of UFC fighters before the fight. Now, the question is, who did you have your money on? Let us know in the comments below.